Good morning and welcome to Michigan Farm and Garden. I'm Jody Pollock-Newsom and I'm your host. The show this morning was shot at the Michigan Great Lakes International Draft Horse Event at Michigan State University. Folks, it's going to be an absolutely wonderful show. Make sure you stay tuned. Good morning, and again, welcome to Michigan Farm and Garden. Once again this week, just like last week, we are coming to you from the Michigan Great Lakes International Draft Horse Show that was at Michigan State University earlier in October. An absolutely wonderful event, and I guess you could say we're going to show some of the horses and thunder across the screen again this morning. It's going to be a great show. We are going to start out and we're going to talk about pulling. Pulling is certainly an important athletic event with the horses. So we're going to talk to Doc Sullivan and Tom Brown and also Jack Vanvoorst, talk a little bit about how that process works. There's different classes for the horses. We'll talk about those. We'll explain to you how the pulling works and we'll show you actually what a pull is and we'll kind of walk you through how that works. Then we are going to talk with Jim Kerwin, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Percherons that he has. He has a younger horse, so we're going to talk with him, and I think you'll be amazed for a young horse how big it actually is. We're going to talk about how they work, how they do the classes, and then I am going to, for my last interview of the show, talk with Gerald Allebach. Gerald is part of an operation that's actually partnering with another, and they're looking at breeding, specifically breeding, looking at traits, and they are really focused on the future of the industry. So lots of good information to really see how they want to stay on the cutting edge. Folks, it is going to be a great show. Stay tuned, and we will be back right after the Michigan Farm and Garden Fact of the Week.
It's time for the Michigan Farm and Garden Fact of the Week, brought to you by the Corn Marketing Program of Michigan.
The Michigan Great Lakes International Draft Horse Show is the second largest convention or trade show in the Tri-County area, with 33,000 spectators and participants from 33 states, 3 Canadian provinces, Scotland, and England, making it truly an international event. MGLI has a local economic impact of over $1 million. For more information, go to mgli.org. And welcome back. We're back at MGLI, and we are here with Doc Sullivan, and we are here checking in horses, if you will, for the poll. So, Doc, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I've worked this farm or this show for many years now, and I know most of these people, and it's always a pleasure to do this. What we're doing is checking the Coggins papers, make sure that their Coggins tests are up to date. Any out-of-state horses that come in, of course, have to have a health certificate and a Coggins test within the last year. So that's what I'm doing.
Well, and Coggins, for folks at home that don't know that much about ag, what's a Coggins?
It's a test for equine infectious anemia. It's a blood test. The blood test is drawn and then has to go to the laboratory. They test it for equine infectious anemia, and then this is the report, as you can see.
Yep. And it tells me all about the horse, so I can go ahead and check.
It identifies the horse, identifies the owner, the date it was taken, the veterinarian that took the sample, a description of the horse so that we know that this is this horse. And that's pretty much it.
So as the horses get here, they come through, you check them, check the papers, and then they go through this.
Through the weigh, through the scales, yep. And they're being weighed now. And their maximum weight is what, Tom? 3220? 3320 is the maximum weight for a team.
And this is for the lightweight pole?
Yes, lightweights.
And we have here Tom Brown. Tom, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here too.
You too.
And tell us a little bit, so you go around the state or the country and you pull?
Yep. We go all over the United States and pull.
And where are you from?
Jonesville, Michigan.
So pretty close to us.
Yep.
Well, and when you look at something like this, if you have a weight requirement, are there things you have to do, things you have to monitor or pay attention when you're looking at the weight of the horse?
Yeah, we put them on a little gant like a wrestler. Like a wrestler wants to get down in a weight class, we put them on a little bit of gant, and then we got to meet the weight here, and then we slowly kind of fill them back up with electrolytes and before the pull.
Good. Well, and when you do something like this, how often would you guys travel to pull?
We pulled about 55 times this year.
Wow, that's a lot of travel.
Yep.
Well, in the off season, what are some of the things that you guys do with the horses to get them in shape? You know, kind of like a regimen like an athlete would have.
We log with them in the wintertime. We skid logs out of the woods and stuff and keep them in shape. They're worked about 6 days a week.
Wow. So coming to the pool is kind of easy because it's not a hard skidding log kind of day.
Right.
Well, thank you so much. We are going to take, go ahead. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to actually see the horses go through, and then we're going to go back and see the dynamometer, which is what they're going to use when they pull.
The Cherry Marketing Institute wants you to know about tart cherries. Cherry's red color comes from powerful antioxidants. Available year-round, it's easy to incorporate cherries into your daily diet. Visit choosecherries.com.
Michigan's 1,000 apple growers take pride in producing delicious apples from one generation to the next. From the Great Lakes come great flavors. Look for locally grown Michigan apples.
Have Jody speak at your next agricultural event. Go to jodylive.com.
And welcome back. Here we are. We are with Jack Vanvoorst. Jack, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
I'm going to have you tell us a little bit about what you do from the dynamometer side, what that is, and a little bit about how that works when it comes to pulling.
That'll be fine. I'm on the Great Lakes board here, one of the directors, and I'm the head of the pull. And I handle all the pulling, supervise it. Don't really do it myself, but I supervise it. And I've been to every Great Lakes. The 36 year I've been to every one.
Oh my gosh, that's quite an accomplishment.
Right, I've judged here. I've been the ringmaster. I'm the ringmaster tonight and tomorrow night. And but I've participated in 36 years. I've either pulled horses or done something all 36 years.
That is a great accomplishment. Congratulations, and you're still back.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Well, and when we look at something like this with pulling, you know, folks who aren't familiar, what does all this do? And this is called a dynamometer?
Dynamometer, yep. Actually, they hitch onto a cable. They back the horses up and they hitch onto a cable there. And when they pull that cable out, those weights raise up.
Okay.
There's a hydraulic arm on there, and it opens a valve, and that's what lets the truck flow. And the weight we'll be starting on tonight will be 2,900, and then we'll probably get up to about 3,800 probably for little horses.
And the little horses, tell us again the weight for the lightweight?
The little horses are 3320 and under. They have to weigh under that. When we weigh them on the scales, they weigh on an individual scale.
And that's as the team. The team itself has to be?
They have to be under 3320. Okay. Yep, on a loose lead. And that's when we demonstrated before how they put them on the scales, the individual scale.
So before all the pulls like that for the lightweights, everybody has to get here and get weighed in and ready to go before the pull.
Yep. Has to be weighed at least, most of the time we have to be weighed at least an hour before the pull starts, but this is a little different. And we weigh 2 to 4 here, and then we pull at 7. So it's a little bit different, but it's a little special deal too.
Yeah, it's one of the big pulls, isn't it?
It's the best.
Well, and when we look at this, certainly tonight is the lightweight, but then there's also the heavyweight. What are, I guess, the rules or the sizes when we look at the heavyweight?
Heavyweight horses are anything over 3320, and they'll be up to 5,200 tomorrow night.
Wow. 5,200, that's got to be it's a big old team, isn't it?
Yes, it's very big. When you get up close to them, you'll see how big they really are.
Well, and when we look at them and we look at the difference, what's the difference between what the different sized teams can pull?
The heavyweights will start on 3,200, and they'll probably get up to about 4,400, maybe 4,700 tomorrow night. There's that much difference in them. But they're 1,000 pounds bigger too. And that makes a lot of difference.
Well, and I know certainly when we look at MGLI and we look at the polls, I know that there have been times before that there's been some pretty good records broke or set here, hasn't there?
Right. This year we have probably as good a field of teams as we've ever had here. Now, I know in the heavyweights there's 9 or 10 of the best in the world here.
Wow. And this is the place to be, isn't it?
This is the place. This is where we try them.
That's good. Well, Jack, thank you.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate it. Folks, if you haven't had the opportunity and you have not seen horses pull, you need to make sure you get out to MGLI or look in your local area for a dynamometer pull. But they're across the state, and it is an amazing experience to see these athletic horses put to the test when they go ahead and pull the dynamometer. And talking about the athleticism of the horses, let's take a look. These are actually horses pulling on the dynamometer, and you can see and watch their feet. They are totally hitting it together. They're hitting as a team. And if you can see up on the truck, you can see that that weight was up. As the horses slow down and lose momentum, that weight falls down. So you can see the audience was full. People love to see pulling. Here comes the next team up. You can see they're driving it around the front of the truck. They're going to hook them on, and look at the athleticism as those horses go and as those horses pull. And folks, there you have it. There's a full pull. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this message.
This chicken is beak over claw for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one chicken may not be too much to cluck about, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing, our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
And welcome back. Here we are at Michigan Great Lakes International. We are here with Jim Kerwin. Jim, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. It's nice being with you.
It's good to have you here. I'm going to have you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about where you're from, and then talk about your role here at MGLI.
I'm an electrical contractor by trade. I've done that for 42 years. We've had draft horses for 30 years or so. It's kind of a family affair, and every year we come to the MGLI and try to do a little better than the last time.
Well, and I heard from Aaron Rice here that you guys have done pretty well.
We've had several world champions, so we do okay.
Well, when we're looking at a horse like this, what would you use this for at like MGLI?
Well, this is this year's stud colt that was born, and so he's won Ohio, and he's been a pretty good colt. I think he's going to take a trip to Ontario right after the show, so we basically merchandise our bloodlines and register stock, and then try to sell them through shows and production.
Well, and one of the things too I want to ask you, because a lot of times here when we look at the horses, they have all the harness and all that, and he kind of has a little different covering on his face and his neck and like that.
Well, he's a halter horse, so they're just all about the conformation. So because it's the halter classes tomorrow, he will make sure his hair is laying down and everything's in the right spot. So he has pretty much full covering to try to keep the coat right and the dust off. So got his official show clothes on.
And we thought it was just beauty queens, right?
Yeah, well, he's got his war paint on. He's ready.
There you go. Well, and Jim, I know you're on the board for MGLI. I'm going to have you tell us a little bit about that and a little bit about what you do, because we don't always think of all the folks behind the scenes that make shows like this happen.
I am in charge of it, the gate, and then I take care of the advertising for TV, radio, that type of thing. So my responsibilities are to make sure that we get as good a coverage as we can to show our show here, which is kind of a self-standing, self-funded show, which is unusual. And then make sure that we get enough tickets sold to have a show next year.
Well, and certainly I know just from coming into the parking lot, it looks like you guys so far have had a really good turnout.
Yeah, it's been fine. We've been staying right about with last year's numbers, and that was a good year. So hopefully the rain treats us well enough. We get enough folks to come to the barn and watch our show.
Well, and I know from the horse side, from being here in the past, you guys have even had to add some capacity, and you're bringing horses in pretty much from all over.
Yeah, these horses come from, it's a international show, so a large part of these horses are Canadian horses, and then they're from all 50 states, so they're from all over.
Well, and how would you say with other shows and things that you do, how does this stack up as far as the international? I mean, are these the same folks you compete with over and over, or is this kind of more of a cream of the crop kind of show?
This is the last show of the year, so you kind of get the best to come to this show to try to prove they've got the best horse of the whole group. It's an unusual show because we have all disciplines of horses. We have farm hitches, we have plowing, we have mules. So it's an unusual show in that there's many things that goes on here that does not happen at other shows. So.
Well, and when you look at this and just looking at the horses and things, I know you mentioned the different breeds. Are you looking for different traits in the different breeds of the horses, different traits depending, like you said, he was in halter versus if you're looking at the cart classes?
Yeah, what happens is I'm a breeder, so my whole focus is on breeding and selling show quality animals. So I'll be in halter classes to prove the conformation, the temperament. So these horses should have the best conformation. The hitch classes, that's a very important part, but the athleticism comes a lot in the hitch classes. So it's kind of different. They're the same, but they're different, And
when we look at a horse like this, how old is he?
He was born February 28th this year.
Well, and I think that's important because folks at home, I don't think you realize he's not that old and he's still a really big horse.
Yeah, he'll grow up to be a big boy. He probably will finish 18-1 or 2, which means 6'1" at the withers, and he'll probably weigh about 2,200 pounds when he's done.
Well, he's absolutely gorgeous. How's he doing this year?
He won Ohio State, and I think he was second or third at the Nationals, and he told me we've got it in here, so he's planning on doing good here.
Great. Well, Jim, for folks out there who've not had the opportunity to get involved or come to something like this, what would you tell them?
It's probably the best place in the horse business if you want to have a family affair that everybody can enjoy. Most people here from small farms and businesses, and just have a lot of fun, show a few horses.
Great. Well, Jim, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Folks, a little bit more information. Certainly we know we're here at MGLI, but we don't want to take for granted all that goes on behind the scenes and all it takes to make events like this happen. And you heard, we're standing here just looking at a young horse, and when we look at the size, if you've not been out to MGLI, you have to be out here and see these young beauties and these beautiful animals. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this message.
This hog is head over hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
And welcome back to MGLI. We are here with Gerald Alabach. Gerald, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you here. I'm going to have you tell us a little bit about what's going on, because you guys have a really unique partnership.
We do. We started this year working with Jackson Fork Ranch, and the folks at Jackson Fork Ranch have the same breeding philosophy as us at Windermere Farms. We want to breed a superior Percheron, and we want that Percheron to lead us through this century. Percherons were bred to be the ultimate draft horse. When I say ultimate draft horse, we started with Percherons, our registry started with Percherons in 1876. With that being said, those horses that were first registered were the horses that laid the groundwork for the United States. They were the horses that pulled the plows. They were the horses that did all kinds of moving of equipment. They were the tractor trailers of yesteryear, and many of those Percherons also were the firehouse horses, the horses that saved our cities when fires broke out. They were the fastest, the most athletic. They were the ones that got the fire companies there in time. If you look at the old pictures, you'll see black and gray horses most of the time, and those were the Percherons that did that. So we have very proud heritage with our breed, and they came to us this year asking us to lead, okay, if you will, their breeding operation, and can join their breeding operation with ours. And in doing so, try to breed a superior Percheron horse that will carry us through this century.
Well, and I know certainly when we look at Windermere Farms, I look at you guys and your tradition and the awards that you've won, you have such a strong background going into the breeding.
Well, thank you. Yes, we're very proud of our heritage. My parents started our farm in 1962. We've been breeding Percheron horses right along. We started coming to the Great Lakes International in 1978. I still remember it as plain as today. The breeder, Marvin Forward, who's a Hall of Famer, he had came with us, and he had sold us our very first Percheron mare. Since then, we've had 4 world champions. One of them is Windermere's Deidre. She's won here a number of times, and that particular mare has actually won at 4 world shows in a row. Her mother's won at 3 world shows in a row. And to give you a little more history on her, she goes back 7 generations to the very first Percheron mare that my parents bought from that particular breeder. So it's a proud heritage, and we're very fortunate that someone like the folks from Jackson Fork Ranch would choose us to help them, and we're working very hard. We're going to go to the Rose Bowl Parade in January in a way that we can represent both Jackson Fork Ranch, Windermere Farms, and try and represent Percherons to the most we can to promote our breed. And it's a very proud future, exciting future for what we could do.
And it certainly seems like it, and I have to say, the energy and the enthusiasm for draft horses, folks looking for that, and I don't mean in a bad way, but more of a simpler way of life, using the horses on the farm, those kinds of things. There really seems to be a renewed interest and excitement.
And there is. You know, here I am. I'm in my wash bibs. You got me out of the wash rack. My wife's down there washing a horse. She's giving me a little time off to talk to you. Our son is 12 years old. He's very involved. He won the national championship in showmanship this year, driving the whole thing, the overall. Very, very much a family event. You know, we come here year after year. I came with my parents, and my wife just very involved. She is our trainer. She trains all of our horses beginning to end. And so it's very much a part of our life. It is our lifestyle, not just our chosen profession and career.
Well, and to hear you talk about that and know what you're looking at and looking at the breeding program, because, you know, when we look at that and even you look at the horse and the gestation period and all that, this is a project that's going to take you many years and not just something that can happen overnight.
Absolutely. You know, the time frame that you talk about is not just years. It's a lifetime. You know, what I have invested in this is my lifetime, and that's a heritage that you get to pass on. You know, people talk about what they might inherit. That's what we're trying to do. We want to work with the folks from Jackson Fork, ourselves, our family, and we want to share the knowledge that the old timers that I talked about have shared and passed on to us, and share that with the new people coming in. We want to help them so that we can produce the right kind of horse. Great conformation, great attitude, great mentality, trainability. Like I said, my wife trains them. I mean, these are a 2,000-pound animal, okay? And I don't want to get her hurt. I want her to have a horse with great trainability, great attitude, something that really can do what we need to do, and then go to the show ring and be able to express themselves in a way that's very exciting, very crowd-pleasing, and that's what puts on a horse show. We don't show horses for the horse show judge. We build our breeding program to suit us, then the audience, and if it happens to suit the judge, that's a bonus. You know, we want to please everybody else. That's what we're about here.
Well, and Gerald, I have to say, the energy and the enthusiasm, I'm ready to help you. Well, and two, I think one of the things, you know, we talk about in agriculture, we talk about the history, we talk about the generations. You know, we have 5th generations, we have 6th generation farms, and I think that's something agriculture and the horse industry that we have in these industries that a lot of other folks just don't get to experience. Just when you talk the pride, the enthusiasm and the love that you have of the animals, the industry, and so proud of your family. I just think that's one thing in agriculture that we just can't say enough about, and I just want to say thank you. It is fun and exciting to hear it.
Well, great. We think that that's what is the backbone of America, and we're proud of that. You know, it's as American as apple pie and baseball, and that's what agriculture is about here. And you know, we have to instill that in our youth and try and pass all the knowledge, everything that our foregoers have passed on to us. So we appreciate the time you spend here talking to us.
Well, thank you. I guess congratulations and good luck, because it's quite a mission, but we will come back and talk to you at future shows and find out how you're doing.
Good deal. We'll be here.
Folks, certainly coming to you from MGLI, we talk about the importance of agriculture. We know that it brings over $90 billion to Michigan's economy, but the thing we don't get to talk about enough are the folks and the families like Gerald's. So next time you get the opportunity, get to know a farmer, get to know somebody in production agriculture, and learn a little bit more about our strong history. And I think you're going to be just as proud to know someone in agriculture as we are to be in it. And here we are back in the studio. I hope that you have enjoyed the shows this week and last week out there at the Michigan Great Lakes International Draft Horse Show and Event. It really is an amazing opportunity, and those animals are absolutely beautiful. And I know I've said it before, but if you haven't been around them, they are also absolutely huge. So a great opportunity to get out there, learn a little bit more about agriculture, but certainly see those gorgeous draft horses and how they work. And you can imagine how important they are and how important they were when we looked at settling the country and what it was like to have to farm with those horses. Certainly a lot of hard work went into it, but absolutely beautiful animals. The recipe I have on the show this morning is for oatmeal cookies. And one of the things I like a lot of the other recipes, I like the opportunity to be able to tweak them and to be able to add things. Certainly, you know, I talk a lot about dried cherries. I love the dried fruits, dried cherries, dried blueberries. You can always add something like that to a nice, good, basic recipe. Basically, you're gonna go ahead and preheat your oven to 375. Beat together your butter and your brown sugar until it's light and fluffy. Then beat in and add your egg and your vanilla. Folks, sometimes that's hard to say this early in the morning. Add those in. Then in a separate bowl, combine your dry ingredients, which are your flour, your baking soda, your salt, and your cinnamon. Add those to the creamed butter mixture. Mix that really well. Then you'll go ahead and add your oatmeal. As I mentioned, you can add dried cherries, you can look at the dried blueberries, if you want to try some dried apples. There's so many different dried fruits out there, dried cranberries. Add those in, they will make a wonderful cookie, and then basically put those by a rounded tablespoon on that baking sheet. Bake it 8 to 11 minutes, and you have a very easy, very, very good cookie, and especially as the weather gets cold, it's nice to have those hot, gooey cookies right out of the oven. If you would like to try this recipe, as always, you can visit us online at MichiganFarmAndGarden.com, or you can write to Michigan Farm and Garden, P.O. Box 461, Williamston, Michigan 48895. Let me know if you just want this recipe. Send me a self-addressed stamped envelope. I can get it right back out to you. Otherwise, if you want to get on the list, let me know and we'll sign you up for the quarterly recipe mailings. Folks, we have some exciting shows coming up. Certainly, you know, after Thanksgiving weekend, we will be looking at shows promoting and talking about Michigan companies and buying Michigan for the holidays. If you have a favorite company, if you have a favorite product, if you have a favorite item, certainly hop on the website, send me an email, let me know more about it, send me a postcard, let me know a little bit more about the company name, maybe a way I can get a hold of them. But certainly we are gearing up for the holidays, so I want to make sure I get those ideas. Also, you will want to make sure you tune in next week. We were at the Making It in Michigan conference held at the Lansing Center on November 1st, where we talked with some different vendors who are Michigan food vendors starting companies. So we're going to talk a little bit with some of those folks. We're actually going to take you through, let you see some of the trade show, give you some ideas, and tell you what you need to do if you have that favorite family recipe. Folks, thank you so much for watching Michigan Farm and Garden. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next weekend. Bye-bye.